Hello and welcome back to A Better World. This is your host, Mitchell J. Rabin, and we're very glad you're joining us again today. Today we're going to have another very interesting show. We have with us today Larry Crane from the West Coast, who has put together this rather incredible course called the Abundance Course. The idea of releasing Larry will be describing to us, but he is known internationally, has worked with famous celebrities, authors, entrepreneurs of all sorts, helping them get emotionally, psychologically clear of those things that are stopping them, that are making them less great than they really can be. So because of Larry's work, we wanted to have him on the show and help us all become as great as we can be. We'll also be looking at a technology that is now being used, which has the ability to measure this idea of release. And it's going to bring this entire process of an inward, essentially psychological, psychophysical process to another level, because we can see through the use of this software really what release looks like graphed out. So we're very glad to have Larry with us today. As I said, he's world-renowned for his work. He's a very wonderful man from New York City, and he's doing a great job in the world letting people know of a very simple process that can literally change the way this world works. Hey, Larry.
Hi, Mitchell.
Great to have you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Good, good, good. So give us first, you didn't come out of the womb releasing, or did you?
No, not at
what
all.
happened in your life that
Well,
had you get interested in this whole phenomenon?
Well, I grew up in the Bronx, and for me, the rich person lived on the 6th floor and we lived in the basement. My father was a retailer, small retailer, who worked 6.5 days a week to put food on the table. And so I had to put myself through school. I went to NYU, and why not? And
And you maintain your New York Jewish sense of humor too.
Right. And when I got out of school, I saw some of my friends making lots of money, and I thought, I'm just as smart as they are, so I can do it too. So I became this sort of aggressive guy. Get out of my way, I'm going to take what I want. Climb my way to the top. Made millions of dollars. Had a 10-room duplex apartment in Manhattan, 63rd Street and Lexington Avenue. Got a beautiful second wife. Had all the toys that are supposed to make you happy, and I was miserable. One night I came home to my penthouse. Time magazine had written an article about me, and I walked over to my penthouse and I thought of jumping for 2 hours. Here I had all the toys that are supposed to make you happy. I was miserable. I know what happened to an Elvis Presley or a John Belushi. It's a shock to your nervous system. So I walked over to the terrace and I thought of jumping for 2 hours.
Was the article about
I was saying how great I was.
How great you were?
Sure.
As a businessman,
Yeah. And I had all the toys and everything else. And so I stood on the terrace and I asked myself two very important questions that I'd never asked myself before. The first question was, what am I doing on the planet? And the answer came, I don't know what I'm doing on the planet. The second answer came is, what is life about?
The second question.
Yeah, the next question was, I don't know what I'm doing on the planet. For me, it was making money. That was it. I was so focused in on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided I wasn't going to jump, but I needed to find some answers. And so I didn't know what to do. I wasn't open for psychotherapy, yoga, meditation. I wasn't open for any of that stuff. To me, it was all, just didn't know what it was. I was a businessman who was more of a, I'm from Missouri, show me, Harry Truman. I don't listen to baloney. I still don't. And my wife took me into a New Age course, which I won't mention, but I took it and nothing happened. It didn't change, nothing. And I kept asking, well, see, I was very angry in addition to that, really angry. I used to scream at the top of my lungs 20 times a day, every day. My veins would stick out of my neck. I turned red, and I would have been dead from a heart attack had I not run into this technique years ago. And I had the ulcers and the migraine headaches and everything else to go along with that kind of a behavior. But one day, a man came into my office and told me about a man called Lester Levinson, who was a physicist and a scientist, developer of a release technique. Lester, at the age of 42 years old, had his second massive heart attack. Lester was a physicist and an engineer. Also from, well, he lived in New Jersey, but he was living in New York at the time, Central Park West. And after having a second massive heart attack, the doctor said he had about 2 weeks to live. They couldn't help him. They didn't have bypass surgery, open heart surgery in those days, so they sent him home to die. They told him that he ought to get himself loafers because it would be too strenuous to bend down and tie his shoelaces. That's how bad it was. And so he went home and he started to examine his life. And he noticed that the times when he was positive or loving was when he wasn't ill. And when he was looking for love and he was negative, he was ill. He had every illness that you ever heard, more illnesses than I ever dreamed I could have. And did all kinds of things, searching for an answer, studied medicine, studied Freud, he studied, you name it, and he couldn't find an answer. It got him to the point where he was a dead man. And he stumbled upon a natural ability called releasing. And in 1 month's time, he undid all his illnesses, never saw another doctor professionally for the next 40 years. Being a scientist, and this is scientific what we have, you can prove it to yourself, he turned the technique in his financial area because he had a tendency to make money, lose money, make money, lose money.
So you're saying that by his discovering this natural method called releasing,
right,
and noticing that whenever he had unloving feelings, when hostility, aggression, anger, what have you, there was a correlation between that and being ill, and feeling loving was a correlation with feeling good and being healthy.
So he said, if I can get rid of all my non-loving feelings, could I get any better? And within a short time, after 1 month's time, he got rid of all his illnesses. He never saw another doctor for the next 40 years.
So he disproved the 2-week advisory of the doctor that he was going to be dying.
Totally.
And lived, and then lived more gloriously than ever before.
Right. Then he focused it on the financial area, and within a short time, he accumulated 23 buildings in Manhattan, just by releasing. It's mind-boggling, but he did. Well,
he probably put some down payments down too, or something. But
no.
Releasing probably was step one.
You see, when you when you're in the harmony of the universe, when you're loving and you become positive, you get into the harmony of the universe. You don't really have to do anything. That's mind-boggling for most people. I know it was for me, because when I met Lester originally, the first thing he said to me was, "There's no such thing as a germ." I had ulcers, migraine headaches, every allergy known to mankind. In fact, if he would sneeze on a telephone, I'd probably catch a cold. So when he told me that, I said, oh my God, what's he talking about? See, Lester had no limitations whatsoever, none. And at first I thought, who does this guy think he is? But he would walk his talk. In the age of mid-70s, he was playing tennis here with us in the Westside Tennis Pavilion, and never huffing and puffing. We were huffing and puffing, and he wasn't huffing and puffing. And so I thought about it, and I said, well, by that time I had learned the technique, so I said to myself, well, if he's right, I get to get rid of all my illnesses. If he's wrong, I got nothing to lose. I'm back where I started. So I applied the technique, and within a short time, all my illnesses went away. I haven't seen a doctor professionally in 29 years. I don't get any toothaches anymore. I can just see when your body is positive, not negative, negativity can't live in a positive body.